Tired of business advice from people who've never run a home service company? September 7th, 8th, and 9th, the Home Service Hoorah hits the white sand beaches of Pensacola Beach, Florida. No gurus, no theory, no fluff, just real-world experience. The list includes Jared Williams, Ellen Rohr, Tersh Blissett, Levi Torres, my amazing wife Kristen, myself, and a few others. 3 days, real owners, real strategy, and real connection. Grab your tickets before they're sold out. HomeServiceHoorah.com. Again, that's HomeServiceHoorah.com. If you've ever promoted your best technician to service manager and then watched him struggle and thinking to yourself, he just wasn't cut out for leadership, this episode is for you. Because the truth is, he probably wasn't struggling. You were.
Running a home service business is hard. So how is it that some people make it look so easy? Well, we'll tell you. This is the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. It's always good to hear the wins that successful contractors have. But have you ever thought that the best advice would be to hear about the speed bumps they encountered, the mistakes they've made along the way? We're going to talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. We want you to be successful and avoid the mistakes others have made. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Now your host, Justin Dees.
Welcome back to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Today is a solo episode, just you and me hanging out today, and I'm pretty excited about it. So I want to tell you a story. It's a story of how I created Service Manager Academy, and more importantly, why I built it, what it cost me to figure it out, and why I'm now releasing a brand new way for you to get your hands on the training. This isn't a sales pitch. This is actually a real story. The wins, the failures, and the one question from one of my employees that, honest to goodness, it changed everything. It all started with one question he asked me that I didn't have an answer to. So here's how it all started. I did what most owners do. I took my top producing technician, a guy who was crushing it in the field, and I promoted him to the service manager. And my instructions to him were pretty simple. I said, hey, I just need you to teach everybody else to do what it is that you do. And that was it. That was my whole onboarding plan. To be honest with you, I thought it was a pretty dialed in plan. I thought, well, that's cool. If everybody did exactly the way he does, man, this business would look incredibly amazing so fast, right? Logically, it seemed to make sense. But here's the problem. The things that he was doing as a technician, most of which he didn't really know what he was doing. It just came natural to him. He didn't think about them. He just did it. But leadership, training, building culture, recruiting, coaching, he didn't know any of that. And honestly, neither did I. At least not a way that I could teach somebody else. So I basically put him in the deep end with no life jacket and almost like walked him off the plank. And about 6 months in, the disappointment started to set in. He wasn't performing the way I imagined he would. And here's the thing, that was zero fault of his own. I failed him as a leader. I didn't give him the training he needed to win at the job I'd given him. Think about it. We train techs, we train CSRs, we send guys to ride-alongs and boot camps and product training. When I started looking for leadership training specifically for service managers in the trade, I couldn't find anything. Nobody was doing it. So one day he came into my office frustrated. And honestly, so was I. But he did the thing that I was excited about. He asked me for help. He said, look, I feel like I'm coming up short. I'm not really sure what all you want me to do or how I'm supposed to do it or even what winning or losing even looks like. And then he asked me this really, really simple question. Because, sometimes the best questions are the really, really simple ones. He said to me, what are the things you want me to focus on? And I paused because honestly, I didn't have a good answer ready. If I sat down and I started to write out all the things that I wanted him to do, there was probably 15 or 20 things rattling around in my head. But sitting there with him in the moment, I realized something. 15 or 20 things is useless. Nobody can focus on that many things. So I had to think. I had to actually stop and ask myself, what's the most important impact this guy can make on the business today? And I got real simple. I said, here's what I want you to focus on: revenue, average ticket, and callbacks. That's it. Those are the three numbers. Master those three, and everything else follows. That was the moment, honestly, everything changed for me. Now, here's what happened next. He started asking better questions, not all at once, but really like one at a time, because we were focused on one thing at a time, even though we didn't really realize it back then. The first one was average ticket. He came to me and said, okay, I get it. I need to drive average ticket up, but how? How do I actually get my team to do that? And instead of just giving him the answer, I asked him the question back. I said, what's the one thing your team could do to build a bigger average ticket? We sat down, we talked through it, we went through recent calls, conversation by conversation, and a pattern started to show up. The guys weren't giving enough options. They were walking in, diagnosing the problem, quoting one fix, and walking out. No good, better, best, no premium option, nothing for the homeowner to actually choose from. Once we saw that pattern, we knew what to coach. So we started building training around how to present options the right way, how to lay it out for the homeowner, how to let them buy up instead of pushing them up. And that became the rhythm. We'd dig into calls together, we'd find the pattern, and then we'd build the coaching around it. That's how the whole thing started to snowball. Question, pattern, training, repeat. Over and over again for at least 5 years. And every time he came to me with a question, I started asking myself something different. Instead of getting frustrated and thinking, why isn't he getting this? I started asking, have I given him the tools and the training he needs to actually win at this? Because 9 times out of 10, the answer is no, I haven't. That shift right there, that's what started to change everything for me as a leader. So we're going to fast forward 3 to 5 years of evolution. Question after question, tool after tool, training after training. We ended up with 5 core KPIs, a real scorecard to watch every day, a system for running a meeting, a framework for coaching, a way to develop the next guy after him. And here's what nobody tells you about building a system like that. The moment your service manager actually has the tools to lead, the moment they have clarity on the numbers, confidence in the coaching, and a scorecard that tells them if they're winning, something shifts in your life as the owner. You stop being the answer to every question. You stop being dragged into the day-to-day. For the first time, I had space. I had space to think, I had space to plan, space to actually look at my business from this 30,000-foot view instead of being elbows deep in every single day. And with that space, I made moves I literally could not have made before. We opened a second location, then I bought another business. And honestly, none of this happens if I'm still the guy answering every question, putting out every fire, and trying to be the service manager myself. That's what a trained, equipped, empowered service manager unlocks for you. It's not just better numbers in the field, it's freedom for you as the owner. Once we had everything dialed in our own business, the systems, the mindset, the KPIs, the coaching framework, I started getting asked about it. Other owners, other operators, friends in the industry, they'd seen what was happening in my business and they'd ask, how are you doing this? How are your service managers running like this? So I packed it up and I started teaching it. And that became the Service Manager Academy. And the demand was unreal, way more than I could deliver myself. Because here's the thing, when I'm teaching it live, I'm the bottleneck again. Same problem I just solved in my own business, just a different version of it. So I had to ask myself the question I'd been asking for years. Have I built the tools and training to let this scale without me? And the answer was not yet, but I could. So that's exactly what I did. I'm excited to tell you that Service Manager Academy is now available on demand and self-paced. Same systems, same mindset, same coaching framework, Same playbooks I built in my own businesses and have since used to help hundreds of other home service operators transform their teams. But now you and your service manager can go through it on your schedule, at your pace, from anywhere. We did this for 2 reasons. One is so we can help more home service business owners than I can ever reach myself. And 2, so your service managers can learn when it works for them, not when it works on my calendar. If you've ever felt that frustration of watching a good guy struggle in a leadership role and not knowing how to help him, this is your answer. If you've ever felt stuck in the day-to-day of your business and you know deep down it's because nobody else can run it the way you do, this is your answer. If you want the freedom to think, to plan, to grow, and to maybe even buy the next business, this is your answer. Here's what I want you to do. Go check out servicemanageracademy.com. If it's a good fit, get yourself or your service manager enrolled. If it's not, no hard feelings. But at the very least, take the lesson from today's episode and ask yourself this. Am I giving the people I lead the tools and training they need to actually win? Because if the answer is no, that's not a them problem. That's a you problem. And the good news is it's fixable. I'm proof. Thanks for hanging out with me today on the Freedom Blueprint podcast. If this episode hits home for you, do me a favor. Share it with one other home service owner who needs to hear it. That's how this show grows. That's how we help more leaders in the industry build businesses that actually give them their freedom back. Hey, listen, new episodes are going to drop every Monday and now every Friday. So make sure to check us out, and I'll see you on the next episode.
You've been listening to the Freedom Blueprint Podcast. Information is useless if not applied. So take what you've learned and go and implement it. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on social media at Freedom Blueprint for Home Services and hit the website at www.freedomblueprintpodcast.com. See you next time.